In general, the public seems to be completely ignorant around cybersecurity risks. And I ran into one recently that kind of surprised me and didn't surprise me. And so it was related to a used machine. I had a person who bought a used machine from me with a like Windows license on it attached to the machine. And their view was the sale was defective if it didn't come with the operating systems already installed. And I tried to explain to them from a security point of view, they should trust no one when it comes to the pre-installed software. And if I had installed the software on there, they should have erased it. And they did not really understand that at all. And I kind of wonder if many people understand this, right? So my argument is you should trust no one, trust none of the software installed on a machine when you buy it. And the reason is there are advantages and disadvantages of using that installed software, right? On the trust side, the reason to trust is you get fast and simple. It's super easy. I just boot the machine up and create my account and go. And sometimes I get extra software, whatever was already installed on the box. This used to be a huge selling item. With a lot of software really on the web now, it's kind of gone down a bit. Or software that's locked to your account, like you have my Steam account. Well, the Steam software is installed, big deal. Like you don't have access to my account, you don't have access to the games. The reason to not trust this, there's a variety of bad things that can happen if you trust the software. I didn't even put here fraudulent license. Like you could have a bad license and end up, you know. One of them is you could be part of a botnet. I could install botnet nodes, modules on all the machines I sell, or somebody sells, not me. And you would suddenly be taking down some corporation from your box without having done anything. And to me, that seems like just like not something you want to have happen. There's malware, there's deliberate malware, and there's accidental malware. There have been cases in the install chain where companies have gotten at malware installed into their install packages, and then people run that software and suddenly they're running malware. You can also have deliberate malware. People ship out a bunch of machines right before it leaves, somebody sticks a thumb drive in it, installs some malware on it. Suddenly all those machines are sending data to wherever, to the mothership, right? Another one is stolen software. You can end up with software you're not licensed for. That can come back and haunt you, especially if you're a company. Individuals, maybe not so much, although that can happen too. Another one is you could have incriminating images and other files. Do you really want to be that person who got picked up by the police because there was a botnet or malware on your machine that was sharing pornography, child pornography, or some other kind of thing, hate speech or something else, right? And so if you buy a machine, you run that risk. You don't know all the files that are on that box. And is that really worth the effort, worth the risk on that for some relatively small benefit that you typically only get when you first open the box? So one of the questions is, are there any platforms that support, why don't the vendors support a one button erase? Now, there are some issues around that, like on the Macs, where they actually lock the platform so people can't steal it. So we don't want to enable theft, right? Where somebody can hit a one button and release a platform. But what we do want is the ability, I want to erase this machine that's mine and I want to know it's done cleanly. The vendors really don't seem to support that. But there is one vendor actually supports this, and it's kind of got me wondering if we should move our fleet of machines over to be something more of an appliance, and that's Chromebooks. So Chromebooks actually do a one button power wash, right? Pretty much. You hit the power wash button, the machine's erased and it's reinstalled. And that to me is sort of a killer feature. I've used it a couple times actually. We bought a Chromebook, and whenever we loaned it to somebody, we power washed it, and then we power washed it when it came back. So I don't really understand why the industry doesn't do this, but if you're on a platform that isn't a Chromebook, you kind of got to handle this yourself. So if I got a new machine, and I'm just using this as an example, it turns out there's a bunch of steps involved, right? I would got to keep it off your network. As soon as you put a machine on your network, it has access to everything on your network, and it can do anything it wants to try and get even more access on your network. The number one choice is probably to throw away the hard drive. You see this all the time. Companies toss and drill their hard drives. And that's because there's no reasonable way to ensure they don't leak data, but it's the same thing with malware here. If you don't want to do that, you can scrub the drive. Or typically what I do is I scrub the drive and then I encrypt it and then I throw away the encryption keys. And then anybody that actually, and this doesn't actually fix any boot sector problems, you're better off throwing away the drive. But if you don't do that, you got to do scrub or encrypt and throw away the keys and then reformat and then blah, 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 and then nothing can run off that thing. But so I'm sure I'll get comments on this one. The last one is you got to create a fresh boot media and install from scratch. And you're way better off if you do this somewhere that's not on your home network. You want to be on some public, well, that's a risk too. So if you're on a truly public network, in the time you're installing it, you can actually be attacked by people in the building. So it's kind of risky. I guess you could put it on your network as long as it's the guest network and not your internal network. So maybe I'll change that. And that's it. So first of all, you should assume people should assume a defensive posture. The same way you like zipper your wallet into your pocket or you zipper your purse, right? You don't leave your wallet open. The same things with your network and with your machines. You should assume that anything that you get is a new environment and that you should take precautions with it. So my personal opinion is the industry needs to do a better job of protecting consumers because the consumers don't even know they have to protect themselves. I hope this cybersecurity 101 gave you a feel for some of the things to think about when buying a new machine.